Alright, what's going on, guys? So today I want to do a video on how to zero your rifle, and today I'm going to be specifically focusing on your 308 gas guns, your AR-10s, and really any sort of rifle will benefit from this video, but I'm going to be zeroing my 308 gas gun today. So the first thing that we need to understand is what is a zero. So let's define that. So a zero is when you're going to align your point of aim, or POA, with your point of impact, POI. So in layman's terms, what this means is where your reticle is where your bullet's going to hit. But you need to keep in mind that that's only going to be true for whatever range you zero at, which is usually going to be 100 yards. So to kind of reiterate, your zero is only going to be zeroed at that specific range, right? So I'm going to be using a 100-yard zero here. So any other distance you're going to have to hold at or dial, depending on what you're wanting to do. And that is even going to include being closer than your zero distance, right? If I'm shooting at 25 yards instead of 100, I'm gonna have to hold high. If I'm shooting at 300 yards, I'm gonna have to hold high. And that's just gonna be because of mechanical offset or height over bore. So you see this a lot with AR-15 M4 style rifles, where you might have a unity rise or something. It's gonna raise your optic a lot higher. Here I got a 1.53 mount, so I am closer to my bore than maybe something like an EOTech. But I still have to keep in mind my height over bore, and that's from the center of the bore to the center of my optic, and that's just going to be the difference of, maybe we can get it here on camera, that difference from the center of my optic to the center of the bore. So there's going to be a lot of common misconceptions and rumors and myths out there about zeroing. You might hear the term battle sight zero or these other sorts of quick and easy zeros. But when you're looking at a 25-yard zero or a 36-meter zero, they're not zeros. They're good enough to get you on paper. They're good enough to get your hits out to 100. But once you start reaching further than that, your groups are going to really open up. And it's always best to, like right now, I'm going to start at 25, but then I'm going to do a final confirmation at 100. And that's where I'm going to do my real fine adjustments, is at 100. 25 is just going to get me on paper and get me pretty close. Then at 100 is where I'm going to really get my fine adjustments and really get that zeroed in. So something we need to keep in mind is bullet trajectory. So the bullet is going to fly pretty flat coming out of the gun for the first 100 yards. And then it's going to start to kind of curve back down towards earth. And the problem with that is our optic is always going to be parallel with the gun, so it's not going to intersect with that bullet trajectory unless we make it intersect, which is what we're doing with the zero. So another important aspect of zeroing is you want to zero the gun to the ammo that you're going to be using it for primarily. Like if this is a hunting rifle, you might not be training all the time with your hunting ammo, but you want to use that nicer ammo to zero at. And unfortunately, I don't have a nicer ammo here. I only got M80 ball, so I'm going to expect a 1.5 to 3 MOA group, and that's just due to the nature of M80 ball. It sucks, right? I mean, it's good enough for getting a quick zero like this, and it'll be accurate out to 500, but you're just going to see your groups really open up. And I will eventually come back and get a real a refined zero with some nicer ammo. But just for the sake of this video, just to get some time on this gun, I'm going to go ahead and zero with some M80 ball, and it's just not going to provide as close of a group as this gun is capable of doing. This gun is capable of shooting sub MOA. I've shot it before with a different setup, but this gun is capable of sub MOA, but I don't think I'm going to be seeing that here today with just M80 ball. So another thing that I think is going to be pretty important is bring multiple targets, right? Don't just go and bring one target and think you're going to go and mark all the shot placements, go ahead and maybe pasty it up or whatever. Just bring multiple targets, go ahead and shoot a few groups on one, then replace it so you have a nice clean target. It just makes zeroing a lot easier. And then you also have targets like these, which are going to have you aim here, and your impacts are going to be here for 25 yards, just to kind of get you on paper. And this will get you pretty accurate out to 100, and then again, refine your zero out to your actual 100. Another thing is going to be, if you're doing it out here like how I am, you need to actually use a laser rangefinder, or get you a 300-foot tape and actually measure it off. Pacing it is not going to be good enough. So there's going to be multiple ways you can kind of get your optic kind of centered before you even come out to the range, right? Or you can even do this at the range. You can get a laser bore sighter, right? The type that you just put in the barrel. It has a laser, and you just kind of align your optic with that laser, and that's just going to be kind of accurate. It's not going to be good enough. That's not your zero. You still have to zero after you do that, but that's just going to get you on paper. Another thing you can do is take your upper right off your lower. If you have a tripod, set it right on the tripod, and what you can do is you can look down the bore, right down the barrel, and as long as this is a really secure platform, right, have your barrel looking right down onto your target, and then you can come up and adjust your optic to align with that as well. And that's just going to get you, again, just on paper, that's not going to be a 0. Or you can kind of do what I'm doing right now and just hope that from the factory the gun has came pretty zeroed. And because they do, usually when you buy a new optic, it's been, you know, somewhat zeroed, and you're just going to be able to get a large piece of cardboard or something and go ahead and shoot a few rounds, and you'll be able to make your adjustments pretty quick. So I'm going to go ahead here at 25, shoot my first group, and then we'll go from there. So for me, I'm pretty confident in my ability to zero, and I know when I'm pulling a shot. So right here, I just shot one round. I know I'm super low, so I'm gonna go ahead and adjust right now. But if you're new to this, I would definitely recommend go ahead and shoot your groups first and then adjust. But again, you know, I'm pretty confident that it wasn't the gun, or it wasn't the gun here, or excuse me, it wasn't me. The gun just shot low, and so I'm going to adjust up right now. I'm actually pretty centered, so I'm gonna adjust up right now and go from there. So again, because I'm at 25, I'm able to see pretty clearly my impact here, obviously the 25 mag. And so I'm just gonna come up again. Again, if you're new to this, shoot your groups. I just don't want to waste all my ammo right now because I know that it's not me, it's the optic shooting low. So I'm gonna go ahead and adjust again. So if you're new to this, again, shoot your groups. I'm pretty confident here, especially at 25, I'm pretty confident. I don't need to shoot my groups initially until I get out to 100. I won't be doing this at 100. This is just for 25. But my initial shot was low, right, way down here. And that's why I'm saying get a big piece of cardboard so that you can see those shots that aren't on paper. And so I came up 30 clicks, and that got me right here. And so I see I'm still low, so I went up again. Went up too high, and so I came back down. I wasn't thinking. I came back down the same amount of clicks. I went back up, and I keyholed that same hole. And so from there, I just went up 1 click, and that got me to a perfect 25 meter POA, 100 POI. Again, POA being point of aim, POI being point of impact. And so again, something to keep in mind is your optic and how you're going to dial, right? I have an MRAD optic with 0.1 mils being 1 click. So every 10 clicks is 1 mil. And 1 mil is 3.6 inches at 100 yards. And so obviously at 25, it's not 3.6 inches. You're gonna have to do your conversions and figure that out. Like here on this target, this is a free T-Rex Arms target. It's gonna tell me, so if I want to go, so one line here, I don't know how well you're able to see this. One line is a 1/4 of an inch. So 4 lines is an inch. It's a physical inch. Like if you put a ruler up to it, 4 lines would be an inch. 1 would be 25, or a quarter of an inch. And so we look here at 25 yards for 0.1 mil, like what I'm using. 3 clicks is going to equal 1 line. So that's a 1/4 of an inch. So 3 clicks is going to move my point of impact 1/4 of an inch at 25 yards. Keep in mind, at 100 yards, 1 click will move me a line and a half on this target. Keep in mind, this is just for this target, and this is again just the free T-Rex Arms Zero target. So I'm pretty confident here. Now I'm going to go ahead and go out to 100 and just kind of get an initial 0 there, and we'll go from there. All right, so if I remember to add the video in for a picture in for my phone, I was pretty far to the right, which is not surprising because again at 25 yards, the bullet has no time to be wrong. So that's why I'm saying 25 yards will get you on paper, but you really got to refine it at 100. So what I'm going to do now is I hit way to the right, So I'm going to come to the left 13. So let's go, there's 10, 11, 12, 13. So I don't know how much footage I included of the actual target, just because walking down there and back, it took a while to do. So I'm going to kind of do a little paper one here. So to make it real simple for you guys, right? You did your 25, now you're at 100. Don't expect it to be perfect, right? At 25 yards, you don't have a lot of, the bullet doesn't have a lot of time to be wrong. So let's say you go ahead and shoot at 100. Now your 3 impacts are, you know, something like this, right? Over here. So, I mean, this is a nice target right here because it tells you, I don't know if you're able to see this, but it shows right here in this quadrant over here, you're over here, you need to come right and down. Oh, excuse me, that's going to be wrong. I don't know why it says that. So you're over here, right? So you're to the left and you're down. So what you need to do is you need to come to the right and you need to come up. So it's almost a little confusing, not really once you start figuring it out, but your bullets are to the right and they're low. So that means you need to, or excuse me, your bullets are to the left and they're low. So what you need to do is come to the right and go up. And so if you have a grid square target like this one is every square is 1/4 of an inch. So at 100 yards, right, if you have an MRAD reticle like I do, every click is 0.1 of a mil, and every mil is 3.6 inches. And so this one has a little conversion chart here, right? So if you click, which is 0.1 mil, you're going to move your point of impact 1.5 lines. So let's say these are our point of impacts here. So we want to go to the right and we move it 1 click. That would move it 1 whole box and 1/2. Now our impact would be here. And so you got to kind of do the math here, right? So you're going to do, you know, you're going to count it out. So if every click is 1.5 lines, you'll figure that out until you get to here, right in the center. And then you're going to go up. Same thing, but up, right? Every click is 1.5 lines up. And, you know, again, it's going to depend on the target. Maybe your target isn't 1/4 of an inch squares, and maybe it's inch squares. And so you just need to know what your target is and what you're doing. And you can do this just, I mean, you could just get a piece of cardboard and draw a dot on it and just kind of guess where you're doing. I've done that 100 times, right? A little bit more difficult because there's some guesswork in there, but you can still do it. It might take a couple more rounds than it would with something like this where you can use the math. But yeah. And so I want to reiterate, ammo is really important, right? So I'm shooting M80 ball, right? And that's, you know, a cheaper rounds, military round, but you're just not going to get the best grouping out of it, right? And, you know, do you really need a sub-MOA group? Hey, well, that's obviously ideal. But realistically, you know, you have a bigger group, it's not going to be the end of the world unless you're really pushing this out to, you know, 600-700 meters. And if you are, yeah, I mean, let's get a tight group. I mean, obviously we want as tight a group as possible, but for your application, it might not be the most important to have a sub-MOA group. I want to, right? And I have more match grade ammo coming. It's just I wanted to get out here. I wanted to do this video, and so I'm just using the M80 ball that I have, and you know the group is not ideal. And I know that it's not me, right? I know that it's the ammo. I've shot better with this rifle before, and I know it's the ammo. So I'll get out here again with some match grade ammo, and I'm sure that I'll be shooting you know, an MOA if not under. So, you know, that was just kind of a quick video on how to zero your rifle. You know, in the editing process, I'll see if there's more that I want to add, but you know, it is a pretty simple concept. You know, and once you do it quite a few times, it's just second nature to figure out how to do it. So, yeah, thanks for watching, guys.